Well, welcome everyone to Love vs. Hate. My name is Anne and I'm your old-fashioned nerd.
And I'm Emily, your mainstream millennial.
And on this podcast, Emily and I always and forever debate about the things in life that we love and hate.
And I will always and forever believe that I am right.
Yeah, I can't say that she won't. So today, Emily and I are going to be talking about traveling, what we love, what we maybe hate about traveling. But before we get into it, we've been doing this thing on our social media that's been really fun, and we wanted to try it as a part of our little intro. And we've been talking about our weekly obsessions. And this week, Emily, what is your weekly obsession?
She's gonna hate it. Okay, so I found this new show on Netflix, and it's been, like, I've seen it all over social media, like, oh my gosh, I'm watching this show, I binge watched this show, and so I'm like, what is this show? I need to watch it. It's called Selling Sunset, and it's like a reality TV show.
I already hate it.
In California, in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And it's like these pretty young girls who are selling like really expensive houses around Sunset Boulevard in like all these fancy areas. Some of the houses are like $20 million. One is $42 million. And it's just really extra.
Yeah, I don't think I would like this.
Yeah, it's very emotional.
Really?
For these girls.
Why?
Because they just have such hard lives, you know? Like, okay, so one of the girls, she is married to this actor who was on the show This Is Us, which I've never seen, but I heard is a really good show.
I have seen. I had to stop because I cried too much.
Okay, yeah. So he was on the show.
Okay.
I don't know what character he was.
Okay.
But in season 3 of the show, spoiler alert, she like is getting a divorce from him because he filed for divorce and texted her being like, hey, I'm filing for divorce.
Wow.
And so it was a really big thing. And then there's another really big thing where like one of the girls is marrying, she's like, I don't know, 30 or 40 or something, and she's marrying a 25-year-old and she has a 23-year-old son.
Ooh.
And his name is something lettuce. What the heck is Romaine? His name is Romaine.
Oh, okay.
And he's French. And then there's this other girl. She's really extra. And she got engaged and she got married and her dress was black. Isn't that crazy?
That is kind of crazy. That's very interesting. It's very out of the norm.
So it's very just, you know, your average reality TV junk show, you know, that you would expect me to watch.
Boring.
I did it. It's true. And I just can't stop watching.
So
I'm almost done. I mean, it's fine. It's just like, it's nice to have on in the background when you don't know what else to watch. I'm trying to get Alex to watch The Act with me, even though I've already seen it, but I just thought it was really good, and I'm going to make... Oops. Spoiler alert, Anne. I'm going to make you watch The Act in an upcoming episode. So I wanted to just brush up, and I was like, you should watch this with me. And he was like, I don't watch weird shows like that. And I was like, okay, you're watching The Umbrella Academy with a talking monkey?
I have heard that The Umbrella Academy is really good, and I've been wanting to watch it. So I'll call up Alex and be like, yo, bro.
Okay.
Let's exclude Emily from this and, like, nerd over something.
Okay, Anne, what is your obsession?
My weekly obsession has been, it's a podcast again. I've been doing a lot of podcasts, but it's called Son of a Hitman. And it is about the life of Charles Harrelson, who was the father of actor Woody Harrelson. And this guy was nuts. He was crazy. And there is proof that he was a hitman. So Woody Harrelson's dad was a hitman. And people believe that he possibly was involved in the Kennedy assassination. He ended up going to jail for the murder and assassination of a Judge Wood. And he went to jail for it. Now, there's Woody and some of his family don't believe that his dad actually did it, but there's a lot of people, I mean, obviously there was a trial and everything, and he got convicted. So there's people that believe he did, and the podcast just kind of explores all of it. And it's been super interesting. And it's interesting, too, because so it's like in Wind of Change, it's from an investigative journalist, and he talks with Brett Harrelson and Jordan Harrelson, who are Woody's brothers. And so he they're able to provide this perspective of like their life growing up and like how they feel about their dad. And it's just, I find family dynamics interesting. And so knowing Woody Harrelson and enjoying a lot of his movies and getting that kind of backstory, like it's so intriguing to me, and I just can't stop listening. It's just so fascinating. And he obviously dives into a lot more too. Like there's a lot of stuff with like, Charles Harrelson was a huge gambler, and he got involved with like a lot of people out in Vegas. And so he kind of covers those stories, and it's just a web of people. But it's just fascinating to me.
Huh. That does sound a little bit interesting.
You would like it.
That reminds me of the podcast that I started listening to this week, which is Ashley Flower's new podcast, which if you didn't know, she's one of the hosts of Crime Junkies, which Ann and I both love.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
She started a new podcast called Very Presidential.
I've been wanting to listen to that one.
Yeah, so the first episode is all about JFK. And so that kind of reminded me because you were just talking about it. And okay, I just need to tell you this one fact. It's crazy. It's not that crazy. But if you didn't know, JFK had a lot of like health problems, and he had a lot of issues with his back. And so at the time, at the year of his assassination, he was wearing a back brace. And when he was in the car at the parade, it was a parade, right? I think it was a parade. I think it was a parade. Well, he was wearing the back brace, and so he got shot the first time. I don't know if he actually got shot the first time, but he heard the shot the first time. And normally a normal person would hear the shot and duck and cover, but since he was wearing a back brace, he couldn't move to duck and cover, and so that's why he got hit the second time in the head and died. If he wasn't wearing the back brace, he probably would have lived.
Yeah. And if you want to learn a really interesting story, I'm just going to do a quick plug here. There's in the other podcast that I do with my sister, Gruntled, we actually cover an episode about JFK and his coconut. So if you want to learn about JFK and the coconut,
oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's just like a side JFK story that I had never heard of before. So it's fun, and you can listen to it. But anyway, you should let us know, listeners, on social, what's like something you've been obsessing over this week. We want to know. Has it been a podcast? Has it been a new show? Has it been a book you've been reading? Has it been a new
song,
hobby?
A new Taylor Swift album? Like, let us know. We want to know.
Yes.
And you can reach us on our social on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Love vs. Hate Podcast. We also have YouTube. If you want to leave a random comment, feel free to do so.
Yeah, and check out the extra bonus content that we have there.
Yeah.
But let's actually jump into traveling.
Yay. I wish we could travel right now.
I wish we could travel right now, too.
So Anne, tell me, what do you like for traveling? Like, do you like to go abroad? Do you like to stay in the States? Like, what is your cup of tea? If you could go anywhere right now, where would you go?
Oh, that's so many questions and so many good answers. I definitely enjoy both. Like, honestly, we live in the United States, and there are a lot of gorgeous places, or even just in the state of Wisconsin where we live, like, there's a lot of really beautiful places to go. And so, like, I do like traveling locally, or just, like, nationally. I don't do it all that often. I would like to do it more. But I also genuinely love traveling abroad. Like, there is just something special about experiencing a whole new culture, a whole new type of people. Like, get me into a plane and send me across the ocean. I'd hate planes, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I hate their food. I hate sitting there. I hate the turbulence. I hate the fear of, like, I mean, I'm not too, like, I don't have a strong fear of flying in a plane, but every time you do, you know, you just get nervous. Like, I do anyway. I'm like, ugh.
You know what's really weird? Something that's really weird about me that other people probably hate, but I kind of like. I really like going to the airport and just, like, sitting there waiting for my flight.
Are you kidding? You love that?
I don't know. There's something exciting about it because you know that you're going to go somewhere fun, and you can just, like, sit there and just read your book while you're waiting for the plane to get cleaned and all this stuff, make sure it's safe, and then you get on the plane and you're like, ooh, I wonder what's next they're going to give me today. But then the bad thing is the meals suck. Like, if you're on an international flight, make sure you get some snacks. And also sleeping, not a good situation.
Yeah, no.
But
I can't believe that. That does surprise me. I would think that most people would agree with me and they just, like, hate the whole process.
Yeah.
Because it takes forever to get through security, and then you finally get through, and then you have to wait for hours because you always have to get there early.
Once I get on the plane, I don't really like it. But, like, waiting in the airport I like. And going to, like the little stores and looking at the books and the magazines. I never buy them because, hello, overpriced much, but it's just fun. The only thing about traveling is I really get in my head about knowing where all my stuff is, especially traveling abroad. I'm like, where is my passport? I need to know where it is at all times.
Yep.
If it's not in this pouch where I put it last time, I'm going to have a super freak out. Like,
Yes.
I need to know everything.
Super freak. Sorry, I couldn't help
it. Yeah, I just get nervous about all that stuff. And then, yeah. But I've only traveled abroad once.
Okay.
And that was 2017? I can't remember. But we went to England.
2018.
28. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We went to England, and we went to Barcelona, and we went to Paris. And that was awesome. But, yeah, other than that, the only other time I've been outside of the U.S. was when I went to Mexico, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, it was a pretty short flight.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you prefer abroad then? Like, did you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I definitely like going to places where you can explore.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to Mexico, it was basically we went to a resort and we pretty much stayed there most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would go out into the city and just explore the little like boardwalk or whatever little downtown area that they have, but it's nothing compared to like exploring a whole city.
Yeah.
And just walking around and like especially places where it's a completely different language, completely different like currency and different way of life. It's just crazy.
It is. It's something to definitely experience. Like, I do recommend to our listeners. I know obviously right now it's difficult and it is expensive, but if you get the opportunity, take it. It's a lot of fun, and it's just like I said. Like I've been to England and Norway are the two. Oh, and Scotland, but that's kind of all like Great Britain. I guess I can just say Great Britain. And each time it's just like, it's so interesting to even just like the architecture, the way people speak, like you said, the different currencies.
It's so pretty there. Their architecture is literally, Paris is my favorite place. I thought it was going to be like way overhyped, but it's literally my favorite place ever that I've ever been to. It's just so pretty. The buildings. I want to live in Paris.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We went to... I mean, I've been to London, and I love the history of London. We stayed there for a week. My family and I stayed there, and it definitely, like, you kind of, I don't know, the city air, like, I was literally like, I just need a breath of fresh air. Like, if you stay there too long, you kind of,
London wasn't my favorite, but.
Yeah. But there's so much history there, and that's what I really loved. Like, we went to the Winston Churchill Museum. It was so good. It was one of the best museums I ever been to. If you're going to London, go to the Winston Churchill Museum.
Well, shoot, I didn't go there.
Yeah, geez.
I went to the space... Wait,
Are
no,
you
I didn't
kidding
go to
me?
the Space Museum.
I was gonna say.
I went to the Science Museum or something like that. It was kind of cool because they had like a whole globe that it was like escalator and you went into the globe.
Oh, that's cool. That does sound cool. The Winston Churchill Museum is actually in, so do you know who, I believe I've talked to you about Winston Churchill before, but I'm going to ask. Do you know who he is?
Yes.
Okay. Who is he?
Shut up, man. He was the prime minister or something, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
He was the prime minister of Great Britain during...
Okay. Do you know who he is?
During World War II. He's a war hero. Anyway, so during World War II, he was bunkered in this building, like in the basement. And the building itself is very exciting. It's not exciting at all. Like they purposefully, didn't want it to be obvious where he was. But the museum is like built into the bunker, like where he stayed. So like you get to walk through the bunker where like he ran the war and like communicated with FDR, and like you get to see all of it, and it was just super cool. I really loved it, so highly recommend. But I will say that when we were in Norway, I loved Norway. Norway was awesome. We stayed in Bergen, which is a port city, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. Like we went on a fjord tour. So do you know what a fjord is?
Not exactly, but
it is in Frozen 2. They're on a fjord. It's cool.
Does it spurt water?
No. So a fjord is, you know how like there's water and there's a beach? A fjord is where there's no beach. It's just a straight cliff. There's like no shore. It's just a cliff.
Oh.
That's what a fjord is. So it's like and I might not be describing it.
Is there a dam?
No, it doesn't have to be. No.
Oh.
And I might not be describing it exactly correctly, but it's basically like a body of water that's surrounded by cliffs and no shoreline. That's my understanding. And like I said, it might not be exactly right, but it's like that. So anyway, we were on this boat, and they took a fjord tour, and you just see these like gorgeous like cliffs, and they had these like little like settlements, I guess, or little towns, and you just see like these random homes like built into the mountainside kind of, or the cliffside, and it's just like, it was just gorgeous. It was absolutely beautiful.
I remember from your pictures now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll have to show you guys some of our photos on our Instagram story.
Yes, we will definitely send some of our travels. So yeah, I absolutely loved Bergen. Also, was this in Bergen or was it no, this was in Oslo, I think. We went to the Fram Museum. I love going to museums when I'm out traveling because there's so much history, especially in Europe. Mm-hmm. There's just like, in America, there's like, we've got a couple hundred years history. Well, we have a lot of Native American history, but we don't cover it as much as we should, unfortunately. But when you go to Europe, there's just like, they have like just oodles, and they've got thousands and thousands of years of history, and it's really fascinating. And I'm a big history nerd, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like museums, but I also just like walking around the streets and just finding little spots to sit and just people watch and just enjoy.
People watching is interesting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My favorite thing that we did in Paris, we were only there for 3 days, but right across the street from the Eiffel Tower is, some sort of fountains. I can't remember the name. There's just a bunch of little fountains, or not little, they were big, and there's like little pools of like 2 feet deep, so everyone could just sit around and like stick their feet in the little pools. And we just sat there for like an hour or two, just people watching and enjoying and like looking at the Eiffel Tower. It was so pretty. I want to go back.
Aww.
And yeah. And I also really like, when you're traveling, don't think of like, you don't have to go to all the like main attractions in the main cities. Like, one of my favorite parts of going to England was going to the small little towns that you don't normally go to. Like, you think of England and you think of London, but we also went to Haworth, which is where the Bronte sisters lived, and we went to York, oh my gosh, those 2 cities were amazing. They were so cute. The architecture was really cute, and just the Haworth was just like the cutest little town. They had cobblestone streets, and like
I love
their
that.
doors were like original, and like people were a lot shorter back in the 1800s or whatever, so their doors were really short and cute. It was just so cute.
Yeah, like when you picture that like British countryside.
It's totally that.
Oh, that's just adorable, and I love it. What about, like, I know for me, I have never, like, I know a lot of people, they travel to, like, the Bahamas, or, they travel to, like
a beach destination.
Yeah, like a tropical.
Relax.
To me, that is, like, so far from relaxing. I could do it, but, like, it's hot. There's a million people. You're in a resort, and it's like, and again, it's like the cleanliness thing again for me. I'm just like, there's so many people, like, like, leave me alone. And like, I personally would not enjoy a vacation like that. It would still be a vacation. I would find ways to enjoy it, and I do love the water, and I love like the ocean, and I love that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But to me, like, I would much rather travel to like Europe or somewhere where, like, a big city where I could like check out some awesome sites, look at some history. Yeah. Like, that's my ideal. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. I would rather go to somewhere where I can explore the city and go to like Europe is amazing because you can go to so many different countries.
Yes.
Inexpensive. Like, once you get over the pond, then you can go and travel to all these different places pretty inexpensively and fast.
Yeah.
But like I've been to Mexico 2 times, and we've spent like a week or 2 weeks there. So that is a pretty long time to just be like sitting on the beach or by the pool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I went with my whole family, so it was a little more fun. So I would say, like, going with a bigger group of people, like a group of friends or your family, probably makes it more fun. And then I also I don't know if it's a unique experience or not, because I only, like, went there once. Well, yeah, the first time I went to Mexico, the resort we stayed at, like, everyone that worked there was super, super nice, and we, like, made friends with everybody who worked there, especially one of the servers. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and like sometimes we message, and like when my parents went there, every time they go back to Mexico, they go and see David, And my parents have met his daughter, like, that was born.
Aww.
Like, it's weird that we
That
have
is
this weird
yeah.
relationship, but it's, like, super cute. And we're like, David.
Yeah, that's fun.
How you doing, David?
And that really only happens at, like, a resort where you, like, are seeing the people.
You're seeing them every day, and you're like, oh, they know your order. Like, it's super fun. But I would definitely rather go, like, travel and walk around cities and just sightsee and all that, too.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I would love someday to be able to see just different parts of the world. Like, I've seen Europe, loved it, would totally go back. But, like, another part of me, like, wants to just, like, explore South America or maybe, like, check out Japan. Like, I've always wanted to, like, experience an, like, Asian culture, maybe South Korea or, like, somewhere over there. Because I do think that would just be... The thing is, though, I've heard, because I've had friends who have traveled to Japan, and, like, the culture shock is just way different. Because in Europe... Yes, you might be at a country where, like in Norway, technically Norwegian was their first language, but almost every person we met spoke English as well. So like there's just, and the culture is similar. It's definitely got its major differences, but it's not a huge culture shock if you go to like Europe as an American. But yeah, going to like Japan, I've just heard it's just like so different that, but a part of me like wants to experience that because, you know, there's so much else to this world. Like, I feel like, especially me, and maybe I'm doing my life lesson a little early, but we just get so wrapped up in our perspective, especially in a time like Corona, where we're in a pandemic. Like, you have your world, you have your routine, you have your day-to-day, you have your friends that you see, your coworkers, and that's it. And, like, that's your perspective. But if you get the opportunity to travel, even within the country, but if you can go outside, like, to just get this whole new perspective really is beautiful. The world is massive and it's amazing and there's so much to it and you miss out on a lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely, what's the word? I'm definitely intimidated by Japan because I know that a lot of people like to travel there, want to travel there and say that it's like this amazing place. But when I see like photos and video, I'm like, but it's so different.
It is very different. Yeah. I would want to go for like a week. And then I'd be like, okay, I want to go back to my normal, you know, cheeseburgers and bed. And
I mean, they've got McDonald's.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm pretty sure their plumbing is like really different too. Like they don't have like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched Queer Eye in Japan and it was very different.
It is different.
But yeah, just even watching my life lesson, or not my life lesson, my weekly obsession a couple weeks ago was the Zac Efron show. I can't remember what it's called now, but it was really, really good. It's on Netflix, and he goes to all these different countries and learns about like how they live. Like in Iceland, he learns about their energy system, and it's just crazy how other countries are living and how like what solutions they've come up with. And we don't even know about it because we're so wrapped up in our American ways.
Yeah, I know.
And so like learning about that stuff just makes me want to travel even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about traveling in the U.S.?
So I have been to California. I have been to Texas once, but that was on a school trip, so I didn't really get to like truly travel like normal. And yeah, I really haven't traveled the U.S. much. That's pretty much it.
Well, you went to Disney World when you were 2, you said.
Yeah, I did. Obviously, I don't remember that. And so my family, it was a few years ago. So I was 9, so I think it was like 2000. Oof. When would I have been 9? 2001, 2002, maybe 2003. I don't remember. It was early 2000s. My family did like a full like family trip out west. And so we did like California. We were in Nevada. We went to Colorado. We saw the Grand Canyon. So it was like a whole like west trip. And it was really amazing. And I was 9, so I've forgotten a lot of it. But like I can still kind of remember the Grand Canyon. I remember we went to see sequoia trees. Have you ever seen a sequoia?
No.
They are massive.
I mean, I've seen photos, but never in real life.
They're the largest trees for sure in the U.S., if not the world. Like, they're massive trees. And, like, we stood, my whole family, and we're tall people with long arm spans, and we got, like, not even halfway around the tree.
Wow.
Like, the trunk. Like, these are just so massive. Like, seeing the sequoias was, like, amazing. So... And if I were to travel the U.S., like I would want to visit all the national parks because that's where all the like really beautiful, like you know, the Grand Canyon's a national park, Yellowstone, the Sequoia National Park, I think is a thing. I don't know, but wherever the sequoias are. Like, there's just, America has these really, really beautiful and well-preserved national parks, and I really just would want to explore them.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't really been out west. Like, the farthest west that I've been is Texas.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
You need to
I
go
really
west.
want to, like, I've seen a lot of photos of Utah. It looks so pretty
Utah is
there.
gorgeous, yeah.
I want to go to Utah, and I want to go, like, all those places out west that they just have beautiful, like, mountains and just beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty. I want to go there.
Yes.
But I've been a lot of places out east because my family, I had an aunt that lived in Philadelphia, and I have an uncle who lives in New York. So I've been to New York a couple times.
Oh, I have been to New York, but again, it was on a mission trip, so it was a little bit different circumstances, but
yeah. I just like cities, I guess. I like traveling in cities and being able to see. I guess I like both. I like the city and the countryside aspect.
see, that's my thing.
And the beach.
I like seeing cities because they are cool to look at, but I don't really like staying there very long. I'm intimidated by large cities. There's too many people. I don't like all the people. I want to, like,
Yeah.
I am 100% the kind of traveler that wants to find the secluded, nobody there, like, just on your own. I want to experience it in my own terms. I hate going to high tourist stuff because I just get frustrated and I'm just annoyed by all the people.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I went to Florida many times. I think that's pretty much it besides, like, Minnesota and Chicago.
Yeah, the Midwest.
But
yeah.
yeah. Do you prefer, when you travel in the U.S., do you prefer, like, car or plane, or what do you prefer?
If it's in the U.S., I mean, planes are convenient because, like, I actually last year went and visited a friend in Colorado Springs, and that was really fun. And, like, the plane ride was, like, less than 3 hours. I think it was, like, 2.5 or something. So, like, it was actually surprisingly convenient to, like, get to her. And, you know, if I had driven, that would have been it would have been, like, 30 some hours. So it kind of depends, but at the same time, I've always wanted, like, the thing that's really beautiful about the U.S. is you can road trip. Like, you can road trip in Europe as well, but, like, the U.S. was kind of designed for road tripping. Like, out of all the other countries in the world, like, we have all of these roads, and, like, we designed this country for cars. Like, you know, so you really have a good opportunity to, like, road trip. I haven't really done one, though. I want to.
Yeah, I've done, like, I don't know if it would technically be considered a road trip because we didn't plan out, like, different stops at all these different places.
Yeah.
But I've definitely road tripped to Texas, which was not fun because it was a full car of adults and then me. And my uncle was, like, sleeping on my shoulder, and I was like, excuse me.
Excuse me.
And then I road tripped to New York with my entire choir class.
Yeah, I did. When I went to Texas, it was for band.
Yeah. And then I road tripped to Florida, which, man, I did not know how many Cracker Barrels there was until I drove to Florida. I'm like, there's a Cracker Barrel, there's a Cracker Barrel,
and you'll have a Cracker Barrel.
And Waffle
and
Houses. Lots of Waffle Houses down in the South.
Yeah. But yeah, road tripping is fun. But yeah, overall, like, I do love traveling. I wish I could do it more. But it's just kind of impractical, especially in a time like Corona. But traveling is fun.
If you could go anywhere right now, where would you go? If COVID wasn't a thing, if money wasn't a thing, if time off of work wasn't a thing, like, where would you go?
New Zealand. Take me to the set of Lord of the Rings.
Oh. That's sad.
No! You would love it. Honestly, you would still love it. Like, I mean, it's just insane to me that all of these absolutely gorgeous landscapes, like, they captured they went to New Zealand, they captured it. Like, New Zealand was made for Lord of the Rings. So it's just, that's where I want to go. Do
you like the Kiwis?
Yeah. That's actually Flight of the Conchords. They're Kiwis. They're New Zealanders.
Huh.
Do you remember that? That's a shout out to, like, episode, what was that, episode 1 or 2, when we talked about music videos and Flight of the Conchords? Do you even remember?
I think it was 2. It wasn't number 1.
Oh yeah, no, 1 was different.
I really want to go to Sicily.
Ooh, yeah, I do want to see Italy.
I really want to go with my dad because my dad went with his mom. He went to Sicily because that's where his mom is from. And so I just think that would be, like, a nice little, like, trip to go on and be like, oh, this is where I went with my mom.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually reminds me. So my mom's side of the family, a couple generations ago, it would be like my great-great-grandpa, I think, they immigrated from Norway. And so when we went to Norway, we actually were able to go to this town called Ansbury, I think is how you say it. Ansbury. I might not be pronouncing exactly
Salisbury steak?
No. Or Anaby or something like that. I can't quite remember. But we got to go there where like, and the farm that literally still has my mom's maiden name, like still exists, and it still has the same name, and it's like still our very distant family. Nice. And so we actually got to go, and it was really special to be able to like see that and just be able to be like, wow, this is where we kind of came from. Yeah. Even though it was generations ago, like it was still really cool. So yeah, I would totally agree. Like if you could do that with your dad, I think that'd be really awesome. Yeah. It's just something special about that.
That reminds me of when we were in England. So Alex, who's my fiance, possibly husband at this point when you're listening.
Oh yeah, that could be. Yeah, it's gonna be soon.
That's crazy. He was born in England, and so his whole dad's side of the family is from England. And so we went to some castle, like it used to be a castle, and now it's just like the remains of the castle. And there was a statue there, and it had like all of like plaques of the people who fought in some war. I can't remember, so I'm sorry. But like the Hayhurst name was on there, and I was like, that's so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Hayhurst will soon to be Emily's new last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Emily, let's move into our life lessons. I think we've talked a lot about traveling. It's wonderful. We love it. Yeah. We recommend. But what would you say is like your life lesson about traveling and what we've been talking about?
I have so many. But
I know, there's a lot.
I guess I'll just say a couple. My life lesson is, if you want to travel, I recommend either, like, if you don't want to travel with your family or, like, you're not super close with your family, then definitely get, like, a group of your friends together to go travel. Because, I mean, I've never traveled alone, but I would just be afraid to do that. Yeah. So I think that traveling with your friends would be super fun, and that's something that I want to do, like, go travel in England or Europe somewhere. Or my other life lesson is, when you're over in another country, I would try and make the most of it. Like, you're already going to be over there, so stay as long as you possibly can and try and go to as many places as you can, and like get trains or planes, like figure out like your itinerary. Where are you going to go? And like, you can experience so many things in just a couple of days in each country.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, one of my life lessons is definitely, like, one of the things that my family, when we did our recent Norway and London trip, was my dad kind of was like, he had like an itinerary, he had a plan, he was like, here's the things we can do today, and it was just outline. Like, if we were feeling really tired that day because we had gone on a long walk, we did something different. You know, like, have multiple options and don't feel like you have to get to them all. If you try to get to every single thing, you're just going to get worn out. You're going to get tired. You're going to get maybe confused or frustrated. Like, definitely, I agree with Emily. Like, plan out your days well. Take a look at what you can possibly do, and then, but leave it open. Because if you plan a super strict itinerary and it doesn't go to plan, that can get really frustrating and like disheartening. But if you keep it open and you say, these are the 3 things, this is maybe number 1 that I have to see, but here's 2 more that I would like to see if I can get to it. Yeah. That's the best way, I think, to plan.
Yeah. Definitely leave room to just like roam around and just enjoy your time while you're there. Like, you don't have to be like, from this time to this time we're going to this museum, then we're going to go to this museum, and then we're going to do also, I just thought of another thing. The City Mapper app, I'm pretty sure it's called. Oh my gosh, that is a lifesaver. Like, if you're going on subways or anything, it literally tells you where to go, when to get off, especially if it's in like a different language. Yeah. It's so helpful.
Ooh, okay, good. That's a very good life lesson. Yeah. I would say my final life lesson is just, if you are tight on money, if you're tight on time, if you're in a pandemic, or, you know, there's a million reasons that could be going on that makes it hard to travel. My life lesson would be, find somewhere nearby that's maybe 2 hours, 3 hours away, maybe just an hour. Because I guarantee you, if you kind of start to look around, you'll find like either a small town or maybe a park. You'll find something that could be like a day getaway. And honestly, even just a day, like being able to get out of the world that you're in, the perspective that you're in, even if it's just in your state, even if it's only a few miles, a couple hundred miles away, like, it can be so refreshing, and I still would recommend. And it still counts as traveling. So I also recommend it.
Yep, so I think we're going to go, and we're going to go travel now, so bye.
Bye.